That was one of the greatest Premier League games of all time. Liverpool snatching glory at the end. Rio Ngumoha, the 16-year-old, he's not even 17 yet. Liverpool's youngest ever goal scorer in the Premier League, scoring to win the game 3-2 on a huge, huge day. The Isaac Derby. It was an incredible, incredible match and so much to talk about. So that's what we're going to do today. And we are going to talk about the 4 things we learned after Liverpool robbed Newcastle. If you're new to the channel, make sure to drop a like and subscribe on the way to 10k. I really do appreciate all the support. Let's get into it. So, the first place I want to start is the red card. I know the goal came before this, but the red card. And I think the reason I want to talk about it is because it set a precedent for how this game was going to go. In the 15th minute, Van Dijk had gone over to the referee, giving out, and I'll put the clip in here, giving out to the referee to say, why aren't you doing it for both sides? Do it fair for both sides. And he was absolutely right. Joelinton had gotten away, Trippier had gotten away with challenges that probably potentially could have been a yellow, especially the Joelinton one. And then Gravenberch takes away a foul and he gets a yellow straight away. And for those kinds of incidents when the referee is going to let the game flow and try and keep his yellow cards away from players as much as possible, it leads to the situation that happens with Anthony Gordon. And it leads to the situation where he feels he can go flying into a challenge and potentially get away with it. And he does get away with it initially because the referee only gives him a yellow card. But obviously VAR had to intervene then. It was serious foul play. The referee goes over to the monitor and he eventually gives the red card. And this is the kind of thing when you're going to a ground where you know there's going to be potentially huge clashes of a team that are obviously up for it. They feel like they've been hard done by, which they haven't been. Liverpool haven't done anything wrong with this Isaac situation. They put in a bid, it's been rejected, and they said, fair enough. We're not going to come back in from until you're ready to come to the table. But the referee has to manage that game. He has to know if you're going to go flying into a tackle in the first 5 minutes, you're getting a yellow card if it's a dangerous tackle. Joelinton should have been booked. Then it sets the precedent. Okay, we can't just go flying into tackles for no reason. We need to obviously be careful, use the energy, use the crowd in the right way. That Gordon situation doesn't happen if the referee is able to manage the game properly. So I just wanted to talk about that. But going on to the actual game itself, the first goal for Liverpool. So I thought Liverpool for large players did not play very well. But when they did go forward, like they did for the second and the third goal, the second goal especially, they were really threatening. And I think one person we have to talk about today, and that is Hugo Ekitike. So you can see here, right? He's after picking the ball up on the half turn. This is just at the very start of the second half. And what he does is really well. He drives into the space. So he wants to obviously carry the ball forward, and that's exactly what he does. Why that's important is because he has someone on his back, and I think that is Tonali at this stage, or yeah, it is Tonali. So he has Tonali, or yeah, on his back, who's obviously trying to close him down. And because he carries it into the stave, Tonali actually has to stop a little bit. So we just bring it on to the next one. So you can see he drags it all the way forward. He's coming up about half the length of the pitch, and now the two of them are in the middle of the pitch, as they are here, and he's waiting to pass it off to Gakpo. So he gives it out to Gakpo, which is really good set to forward play. He needs to be able to carry the ball and stop. So if Tonali's running behind him and he lays the ball off, Tonali's just going to run straight. He's going to close the gap, close the space, and he probably doesn't get the opportunity to what he does. But what it does allow is it allows Cody Gakpo to hold the width, which we can see here, and also allows Kirkez to get up and support because he can see the system developing and what's going to happen. And that's exactly what happens. So we move on then to the next one. You can see Kirkez is now obviously up. He's made that overlap and run. He's just stopped short because he's seen Gakpo coming inside. But Trippier doesn't want to make that run, or doesn't want to come inside to maybe stop Gakpo. Fabian Schär then is having to come across and try and stop him, which he's not able to do. Well, he is able to do, but he gets a block on it. But then the ball drops to Hugo Ekitike because Tonali and Bruno G, they're both now in front of Hugo Ekitike. So Hugo Ekitike is kind of on the blind spot of them, and he's able to, once the shot is blocked, Gakpo is able to drop it through, and then a lovely finish from Hugo. I thought Carragher said it on commentary. He was a bit surprised that Ekitike might have started this game just because of how Dan Burn and Fabian Schär were maybe going to be coming through the back of him, and if McAllister had been fit or Frimpong had been fit, he might not have started. I think that was a mistake because I think what we've seen from Ekitike now is, yes, obviously you're going to be a little bit more physical. I think that's something Verse is actually struggling with right now. But Ekitike, he doesn't mind getting involved. Like, you've seen him very often leaning into Dan Burn, leaning into Fabian Schär, he won a good few free kicks, and then takes his goal very well. And what we've seen from him in the first kind of 3 games is a player at real quality. He's someone that when he gets a chance, he's able to finish. That was something that was questioned about him when he was coming in. His XG was a lot higher than his actual goals last season. I think it was 15 goals to 22 XG, and that would have been a worry. But since he's come in, his finishing has been unbelievable. So that's a really good thing from Liverpool's point of view. I think how they worked that goal very well. So what I want to talk about now is Liverpool's defensive frailties, because there's a lot of them right now, and it is a big, big worry. So the first one, we're just talking about Ekitike. So the ball is over on this hand side of the pitch. So Liverpool, they're pretty well set up if you actually look at it. Like, there's not too much to worry about in terms of defenders. Like, if we go through, it's pretty well lined in how you should defend in a set piece. The issue is, I was just talking about Ekitike going forward. It's Ekitike and Bruno G here, and he actually falls asleep. Kirkez is left at the back post. He's defending. He can see everything, but Bruno G has a run on him. So Bruno G is obviously gonna want to make a run into this space, into that space here, and that's exactly what he does. The ball is then pushed in by Livramento, and you can see from that then it's just caught ball watching. So you can see there. So he's gone from Bruno G being on the left hand side of him to now obviously being in front of him, and Kirkez is having to take on Bruno G. So he's kind of being left in a difficult situation, and a lot of people may be questioning Kirkez's performance yesterday. He hasn't had the best start, I think, in both games. He's been left very much isolated. Gakpo is someone who obviously he does work hard, but the way Liverpool are setting up, you're kind of, especially with Szoboszlai playing as the right back, he was asked being moved in the midfield. Then they're kind of, Liverpool are transitioning into a tree when they have the ball, and Szoboszlai is pushing into midfield to obviously help and maybe create like a box midfield. But Kirkez, I think he hasn't been his best performance, but I think he has been exposed from Liverpool's tactics as well. With this, the criticism is a little bit harsh. Like, Bruno G has a run on him. Kirkez, yeah, you could say he tries to get up, but at the time the ball is already in, Bruno G is almost leaning on him, and there's not really too much more you can do. I think maybe if you were being very critical, you could say you need to just get up and kind of get in the way of Bruno G, make it as difficult as possible. Like, in the end, it was a pretty easy header for Bruno G, and I think that's maybe the one criticism you have of the situation. But not the best game from Kirkez. He's young, lads. He will improve. He will get better. I don't hear the shouts for him to be dropped 2 games into his Liverpool career. I don't think that's the right thing to do, especially when you're playing Arsenal next. Give him his games, let him get his minutes, let him get his experience, and then we'll see. But yeah, I was disappointed. Liverpool, I think Ekitike falls asleep at the wheel, and then Kirkez, maybe you could criticise his defending. But the second goal for Newcastle is so much worse. So Monday Night Football, we're actually talking about this, and it does highlight how high Liverpool are. So you can see, like, they're probably 50, 60 yards away from goal. Yeah, they're in the middle of the halfway line. So just so much space to exploit in here. And they did talk about it on Monday Night Football. When you're playing a team like Newcastle, who are going to be very competitive, I thought Dan Burn was excellent all game. But you can see Konate, Dan Burn, they're there fighting, they're there tussling. Konate, I think back to back, he's been shocking for Liverpool. And just in this one here, he's too busy trying to battle with Dan Burn in terms of pulling his jersey. And Dan Burn is just all eyes on the ball. All eyes on the ball. He's not even looking at Konate. He just wants to win the ball, flick it on, and try it and get a potential opportunity. And does exactly that. The one thing I think you can maybe look at is Alisson. Does he come off his line a little bit too quickly? But then I think you're probably being a little bit too harsh. But it was a very good finish in the end. And then you're wondering, Liverpool 2-0 up with 10 men, or against 10 men, how has it fallen so much apart? But Newcastle, I think they deserved to get back into the game. They were excellent in the second half. But with this Liverpool team, and I've said it so many times on this channel, with this Liverpool team, they have so much quality going forward. And Rio Ngumoha, I said at the start of the season, before pre-season, is this someone that we could potentially bring in? And then after pre-season, I said, he is going to be competing with Gakpo for that left wing position. And we've seen exactly why. He was absolutely brilliant when he came on. And he only had 2 practically involvements in the game. The first one was when he came on, he got the ball, went to Livramento, got a cross in. It was kicked out then. And Liverpool they kept the momentum going. But he was driving Newcastle. And that was a very good thing to have at your disposal, especially at that end of the game. But he's very direct, wants to be involved, not afraid to take on his man. And He was brilliant when he came on. And the second involvement in the game was the goal. And I thought Liverpool, to be fair to them, this was probably their best piece of play in the second half. They had two good pieces of play, and it was the two goals. And that's what I'm saying, the quality they have in the team. So Elliot actually does really well. I don't have it highlighted here, but Elliot does really well to get this ball into into Gravenberch. And Gravenberch does well then to lay it off. So you can see Gravenberch there on the floor. He's just passing this ball into Bradley now. And it's just some really good interchange play. Bradley gives it into Chiesa. Chiesa then gives it to Salah. Salah with the one-touch pass. And then the quality. Szoboszlai, who rightly got man of the match, he was absolutely brilliant all game. Really, really good. I was so impressed with him. He's obviously taken, I wouldn't say criticism, but I think question marks over whether he'll fit into this team. And I think right now you're seeing how important he is to this team. Playing at right back, then going into midfield, showing this industry, showing the level of composure in this minute of the game, the 100th minute of the game, to let the ball just go through your legs, to have the awareness that Rio is in behind him. And he does so well. And then Rio with an absolute world-class finish. Slot said at the end of the match that one of the players that looked at him said he would have taken a touch. But for a 16-year-old, and that's not an easy finish. People are going to say, listen, he has to get on target. It's the 100th minute of the game. It's been such an intense game. And he just absolutely wraps his foot around it into the side netting. It was a brilliant, brilliant goal. There's definitely worries from this Liverpool team. And I think we're going to keep on coming back to it, I think, for a lot of this season until Slot figures out what he needs to do to maybe just work with these types of players. I think the midfield is probably where a lot of these issues are coming from. I think Florian Wirtz yesterday was probably, he's starting to understand that you can't just take a touch and start looking around and try and play the nice, easy pass. You need to be at the top of your game. Even Salah was off it yesterday, and you can see, like, Livramento, really good game against him. You're coming against teams that the quality of their players are not that far off yours. There's just that little bit of difference that gets you over the line. And Liverpool had that yesterday, which was big. But it could have went either way, to be honest. Overall, Liverpool have problems still, but they will win a lot of games. They have too much firepower going forward, but they are going to concede a lot of goals. And for a neutral, I'll be tuning into every single Liverpool game because these are the types of games you're going to be getting this season until they figure out how to shut out teams defensively. Brilliant game. So much to look forward to for the season. I prefer when football is like this, when I'm on the edge of my seat. Yes, you're having a heart attack at every moment, but it's so enjoyable. But let me know what you thought in the comments. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It's been good. It was really good covering this game, and it was really good talking about how good Liverpool were and what we can expect of them for the rest of the season. I shall see you all on the next one. Cheers, guys.